Dear listeners, please note that this is not the full film of Millennium Actress. Rather, this is a review of the English dub of Millennium Actress. The film can be legally viewed in theaters on Monday, August 19th, and a home video release to follow from 11 Arts. Please support the official release. Sincerely, the Dub Talk Podcast. Warning, the Dub Talk Podcast may contain language and content that may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Also, please be aware that spoilers for the film Millennium Actress, as well as other anime series and films, may occur. Use caution in case we discuss something that you probably haven't finished yet. Finally, the opinions expressed in tonight's episode are those of the individual participants and do not reflect the Dub Talk Podcast as a whole. What? Did you think I was going to make some kind of joke or something in the disclaimer? Hell no! This film is a beautiful gem and deserves all the respect it gets. Just go see the movie, or buy it, or both! Just please go and see this movie. Oh, and if someone can rescue Tokyo Godfather's Paprika and Paranoia Agent, I would greatly appreciate it. Please and thank you! Enjoy today's special episode of Dub Talk. And welcome to Dub Talk, the podcast where we relive our lives through movies until the weirdest of shit happens. My name is Stephanie, and I'm joined by Megan, which means it's another Steph and Megan filler episode, except it's actually not really a filler episode.
Not this time. This is
really.
Welcome to a very special episode of Dub Talk.
Very, very special. I think with just you and me, it's associated with our filler episodes now, but this is not one.
This is a very, very special episode of Dub Talk.
Oh, this is so special. We are so excited for this one. Today we're excited to bring you a film that holds a special place in both of our hearts. We're here today to discuss the brand new English dub for Satoshi Kon's Millennium Actress, the 2001 film from Studio Madhouse. The film was rescued this year by our friends over at 11 Arts and is set for a theatrical release on August 13th for the Japanese version, which is actually the day prior to this episode's release, and the 19th for the English dub. Which, by the way, a very, very, very special thank you goes out to the folks at 11 Arts for providing us with an early screener copy of the dub for us to talk about today.
Yay! Thank you guys so much! This is, actually, something that we thought would never, ever happen, was that, number one, that this movie would be rescued, and number two, that it would actually be redubbed.
Absolutely, because... Oh god, because there is actually a manga UK dub, but it never has been released on the western side here. But oh my god.
It was never released stateside anyway.
Never stateside anyway. It was released on home video. What I want to say it was. I gotta go grab my DVD copy now because
the old Sony DVD copy.
DreamWorks or TriStar. Hold on, I have my copy.
I think it was DreamWorks.
It was DreamWorks Entertainment, DreamWorks Home Video that released the original Japanese on DVD.
Literally one of the biggest advertisements is if you can find the old trailer from DreamWorks super easily on YouTube. Yeah. And they're the biggest thing that this gets touted with is that the year that it came out, it tied with what would eventually become the Academy Award winning Spirited Away for the biggest Japanese film prize.
AKA,
for animation. Yeah. That year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And honestly, this movie got snubbed for an Oscar because it's better.
Yeah.
This is a much better movie than Spirited Away, and all y'all can fight me in the comments.
I won't fight her because it's fucking true.
This is this is legitimately one of the best movies ever made.
Absolutely. And for those who may not know about me, Satoshi Kon's one of my favorite directors, legitimately. And this is my favorite film that he's ever done. And this is the first time we're talking about a Kon thing.
Yes, we finally get to do that. We finally get to do it because this is the first Kon thing that has I think actually legitimately been rescued in the States.
No.
Oh no, Tokyo Godfathers is, but I don't think Tokyo Godfathers is dubbed.
No, Perfect Blue was rescued.
Oh right, duh. Perfect Blue was rescued.
Perfect Blue got rescued by G-Kids. I believe Tokyo Godfathers has yet to be rescued. But there was a DVD home video release from, I believe it was TriStar, a few years ago on DVD.
Yeah.
And then Perfect Blue. God, who has not Perfect Blue? Paprika. I forgot who has Paprika.
You can buy Paprika in the States, though.
Yeah, you can still buy Paprika in the States, but Millennium Perfect Blue was re-released, I think it was this year.
Last year.
By G-Kids.
It was last year.
By G-Kids. But Tokyo Godfathers and this film, Millennium Actress, are very, very difficult to find. As well as the one TV show that Satoshi Kon actually directed, Paranoid Agent, which I hope that also gets rescued. Please someone rescue it. It's fantastic. I have it. I have the actual legit series. Sorry. As you can tell, I love Satoshi Kon very, very much. Now, before we can get into it much further, just another quick shout out to our patrons over at Patreon who help support and make episodes like these happen. So a special thank you to Michelle Travis, Nico Robin, but with Yowie hands, Brad Mitchell, Jared, Carly Lesticow, I apologize if I mispronounce your name, Marissa Lenti, and the folks at We Be. You are all such awesome folks, and we can't thank you enough. And yes, I just said that name with a straight face, motherfucker. Sorry. Megan didn't think I could say Nico Robin with Yowie hands with a straight face.
I can't do it.
I did it. You're welcome, Jackson. Anyway, if you haven't seen or heard of this film before, I would say what the fuck is wrong with you, but granted, understandable reasons why. Here is a quick little summary that I found via the Fandom Post article with the cast announcement. Chiyoko Fujiwara was once a major movie star who dominated the Japanese cinema world. 30 years ago, she abruptly disappeared from the screen and public view. One of her greatest admirers, Genya Tachibana, is a documentary filmmaker who has traveled to the isolated mountain lodge where she makes her home to interview her. There, he presents her with an old key, and as if the key had opened a door to her memories, Chiyoko starts telling the story of her life, interweaving moments from her past and future, and passing through the boundary between reality and the movies that had made up so much of her life. It's a beautiful film.
It is a stunning film.
Yep.
The restoration done on this movie was fantastic.
Oh, the remaster's gorgeous. Because the film that's going to be in theaters, and I'm going to assume that's going to go eventually to home video, is a remastered version of the original, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful. Now, we're going to be discussing the casting and performances of the film today based off of the information and the press release from 11 Arts. The press release itself actually originally left off a few characters and staff, but we did speak to 11 Arts and we got confirmation and permission to discuss some extra characters not previously announced.
Yeah,
thank you, 11 Arts. You are amazing.
You are very kind company and very nice people.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. So with those little asides mentioned, how about we get started? So today we're going to start off with staffing, but it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to start with the ADR director, the supervising director, the script writer, and we may as well just do a little bit of discussion as well as to the recording studio behind it, because 11 Arts is very interesting. They don't use one set recording studio for their films. They'll go to a wide range of studios in order to produce the English dubs of their films. I believe, NYAV Post, no, that was G-Kids that did Napping Princess, wasn't it?
I believe so,
yeah. It was. I'm done. I'm dumb.
NYAV Post did do Makuya, though, and G-Kids did put out Makuya.
Yep, and then, I'm not sure where Liz and the Bluebird and Penguin Highway and all those are from, unfortunately. But they do commission different recording studios in order to create these films. So, for our ADR director, we have Mr. Kevin Hoffer, whose only other really big directing credit was actually for the redub for Netflix for Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh boy.
For our supervising director, we have Miss Carrie Kiernan, who has been the director for Dragon Pilot Hisone Masutan, the redub for Neon Genesis Evangelion, as well as Mobile Suit Gundam Seed. As for scriptwriter, Kevin Hoffer also serves as our scriptwriter. However, as far as I could tell, there is no scriptwriting credits. But what I do know and what I did get confirmation from 11 Arts is they did pretty much closely adapt the manga UK version of the script. As for the recording studio, it's actually coming out of VSI Los Angeles. This is the recording studio that also produced such dubs for Agretzko, Dragon Pilot, and the redub for Neon Genesis Evangelion that's on Netflix. So VSI, from my understanding, is pretty much a good amount of the Netflix stuff we've been seeing recently.
Yes.
So
a good mix of it that isn't Bang Zoom when they're putting another Fate show on Netflix. Because Bang Zoom, like, exclusively does Fate.
Pretty much. But, okay, so how do we want to start this discussion off?
I guess I'll start, because you're the host,
Yeah.
and usually host goes last. So, I have only seen this movie before today in Japanese. I never saw the Manga UK version.
Same.
I first saw this movie about 6-7 years ago.
That's probably accurate. That's about the same.
Well,
time
here's
as
the reason.
I did.
Here's the reason I saw it. I have a film studies degree. I have a degree, well, specifically it's humanities and cultural studies, but I focused in film and new media. When I was taking my intro course to that film and new media, like to get my humanities credits to like switch my major, this was one of the movies I watched in there. Originally it was supposed to be Ghost in the Shell, but my TA was using this movie for her thesis because she was doing her thesis on her graduate thesis on how Japan uses film as a metaphor for people's memories.
Okay, that's interesting.
And you can actually see this in a lot of other anime and Japanese film. I think a really good example of this is, I can't believe I'm bringing this up in the context of this movie, Black Butler.
You know?
Black Butler is a
I can see
fantastic... Black Butler is actually something she exclusively used in her thesis.
I can kind of see what... I can see it, yeah.
No, because if you've never watched Black Butler, I think you can watch Book of Circus still legally. I don't know if you could watch the first or second seasons legally without buying it anymore.
The Book of Circus should still be available through Funimation. I believe the rights expire next year, though.
Yeah. So please buy Book of Circus ASAP. I need to buy the OVAs and the movies because then my Black Butler collection is complete.
Same.
But one of the things that I will get back to Millennium Actress after this is that the Shinigami exclusively, when they are like going through people's memories, it's on film reels.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I remember.
So here we go. This movie uses that, but on a much more elevated and much more sophisticated level. Obviously, the memories of Chiyoko's life are told not through like just normal flashbacks like in a lot of anime you see. They are told through the movies that she acted in, which is fucking fantastic. And then later on in college, as I was graduating undergrad, I did my entire like humanities, like postmodernism class thesis on Millennium Actress, the idea of memories and transformation, because essentially I at one point was like, yeah, Chiyoko going through her memories is doing magical girl transformations. College, being a humanities major is fucking weird, y'all. Being a humanities major is like taking a hit of a blunt and being like, I can make anything into a thesis.
That's funny. I think that's very true.
It's like, what if Madoka Magico is a metaphor for limited animation? Says Megan, who wrote an entire paper on that.
Oh my god.
But to me, the thing that I like the most about the dub of this movie is that it felt so natural. Nothing felt over the top unless it needed to. There are points where people have to sound like they are acting badly because the character that they are voicing is acting badly. The
AKA Genya.
Genya. There are times where Chiyoko has to do it as well.
Yep.
This movie is funny. Like, it is, the humor in this movie comes across very well without seeming super dated or mean-spirited. The level of care and precision put into this dub does not make it feel robotic. It does make it feel, like, alive and warm. There's a lot of casting of there are a lot of actors I know in this movie, and a lot of voice actors that I'm unfamiliar with, especially Genya's actor himself.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Which we'll get to him. To me, though, it's so strange to hear that Kevin Hoffer was the director on this, as well as the writer, and that especially due to controversies around the Evangelion dub, which I personally haven't actually watched, but God knows I was on Twitter when that dumped, and it was like a firestorm of vitriol.
Yeah,
there's good opinions. There were people with good opinions, and then there were like
people who were mad.
Carrie Kiernan as a director is somebody who I do trust. I love the dub of Dragon Pilot. I I think that she does a fantastic job here. I think that Kevin did a fantastic job. I think the translation was great, and I do like the fact that they already used a pre-existing dub as a template, but maybe tweaked it to sound a little bit better, because from what I understand, the original manga UK dub is not very well liked. It is not very good, from what I understand.
Yeah, from what I understand, too,
So, but overall, impressive effort. This is up there as one of the best dubs I've heard this year. That is not hyperbole. When trust me, when we got told we were going to get to screen this, and I was given the access to do it, before I sat and watched the whole movie today, I sat at like 1 a.m. and turned it on just to hear it. I almost stayed up till 3 a.m. watching it, because I was like, this is what I want. This is what I wanted to hear. Like, this is so worth the wait. Like, I had to pry myself to go to bed, because I had to go to work the next day.
Yeah.
So, very, very much worth it. Like, please, this is coming up before, like, tickets go and get bought. Like, obviously there's a spoiler warning here. If I can say anything without, like, before, like, after this point, like, spoiler gloves are most definitely gonna come off.
Yep.
Sure. Buy your tickets. Go see this. Please go see the dub of this movie. It is phenomenal. It is one of the best dubs I've heard this year. It is so worth the wait. Also, go see this movie regardless. It is a phenomenal movie.
Yep.
You, like, do not wait for home video. If you were apprehensive thinking, oh, this looks boring, no, go see it anyway. See it. This movie is art. This is one of the greatest films ever made. If you are somebody who loves movies, go see this movie. You owe it to yourself, because this is not only a love letter to movie, this is not only a love letter to Japanese cinema by one of the greatest Japanese directors of all time, who was taken away from us way too soon. This is also a I do want to say this. This movie is also a ginormous critique to right-wing politics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I fucking love this movie. Like, you are doing yourself a disservice by thinking that it looks boring and unwatchable. Like, please, go see this. You owe it to yourself, if you are a fan, not only of animation, but of anime, to see, like, where the things that you love kind of get their roots, because obviously anime's been around for a while, longer than you might think. Like, one of the things, like, I honestly still need to pick up for Funimation, and I don't want it because I necessarily support what the movie's about, but I want it from a historical standpoint, is Momotaro the Divine Sailors, which is like a 1940s World War II propaganda film that Funimation got to put out. But, like, this movie is a love letter to, like, a lot of stuff like that, and even beforehand. Like, please go see this movie. The dub is fantastic. Kevin and Carrie and VSI did such an amazing job.
You basically gave your final thoughts in the beginning.
I have to, because I need to get people to go see this movie, and I'll just do it again.
I mean, I everything you said, like, I 100% agree with you. My little background with the film is, several years ago while I was in college, I actually originally had a blog where I reviewed different anime series, and one of the things I did, I had a theme month in August. I want to say it was before my senior year. Yeah, it was before my senior year in college. That would be 2012. Where I just covered everything and anything and everything, at least the film-wise, for Satoshi Kon, because I did Paranoid Agent a year or two before that. And that was my first time watching this film. And it was the most breathtaking and moving thing I had ever seen before. Because there's a lot of aspects that Kon put into this film that are very much go with his directing style and the themes and context that he's able to use very well. Because I think the two biggest things that Kon is mostly known for is his psychological dramas, like Perfect Blue or Paprika, but also some of the satirical ones, that being like Tokyo Godfathers, for example. And there's always also a theme about reality and the bending of reality, which comes across in all four of these movies to an extent. With less so in Tokyo Godfathers, but definitely in the other three. and definitely a paranoid agent. But this film in particular has the strongest mix and blend of the two themes that Kon is known for, that bending of reality, that psychological aspects, the satirical moments, because, sweet lord, when we get to Ida, cameraman Ida here.
He's so much fun.
He's so much fun, because he's breaking the fourth wall on a consistent basis, and is like, what the fuck is going on with this shit? He's such a fun character. But it's such a beautiful film, and the directing and the writing on this is just absolutely fantastic. The writing-wise, it definitely stayed true to the original Japanese. Again, I have no experience or knowledge of the manga UK dub of it, but using, again, since 11 Earth confirmed with me that they did use that as essentially a base for the script for this film, I can agree with Megan too that it's fantastic they use that as a base, but they were able to tweak it to make it much more realistic and much more believable, which is fantastic. And the directing on this is solid. I am not familiar with anything that Kevin Hoffer or Harry Kiernan has directed.
You should really fix that.
I know. Mostly because I kind of swore to myself that I would never do Neon Genesis Evangelion. I had a friend in college who just kept talking about it constantly and annoyed the shit out of me because of it.
It's not gay, it's Shinji's mom. Thanks, honey, for that one.
And I know the people who are, I know the hosts that did the Dragon Pilot episode, Megan included, were probably like swear.
Correct answer, I was the host of the Dragon Pilot episode.
I'm just saying, like, including Megan, but the people who did the Dragon Pilot episode, Megan included, would be like, why have you not watched this yet? But I have seen Agretzko, so I have seen at least something that VSI Los Angeles has done, and it's solidly produced. And it's very high quality, and it's an absolutely beautifully directed film. And the casting on the film itself is also very diverse, because what you're gonna see as we keep going through here, we're gonna see names that, in terms of us in the anime industry, people in the anime industry, including fans of anime, will definitely know who they are, because including us, we've talked about them several times. But we also have names that there's initially a person I couldn't find a damn thing about that he's done before. And then there are a couple people from the Western animation as well as and video games that actually come into play here. So it's a very diverse cast, blending in a bunch of different actors with different experiences in different genres of media. So I think it's a very, very interesting situation, and I think it's a very strong cast in general. This film is just everything I wanted and more.
Like, seriously.
Oh god, it is so, so beautiful. The first time I watched it a few years ago, I cried at the end like a little baby. And then I watched it, I think, one more time in Japanese, probably about a month or two ago, actually. Just one day, because I wanted to marathon some movies for shits and giggles. And then, I didn't cry then. But then when I got to watch it earlier today, the dub for this, I had that feeling again, like I did the first time I watched it. Like, watching it in a different language is very, very, it's very wonderful, and it's very surreal, kind of, you know what I mean?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, definitely. And, especially if it's in a language you understand. Because you get to actually understand and feel that raw emotion, too, and it's, the ending, I just started tearing up, like,
the ending of this movie
ago.
is, like, beautiful as hell.
Oh, it's beautiful. We won't spoil it quite yet, but it is so absolutely beautiful. I'm in the same camp as Megan. Before we go into complete and utter spoiler territory for the rest of the episode, if you have not seen this film, if you have not bought your tickets, if you did not see the Japanese screenings the day before this episode was released, you need to buy your tickets and see it on Monday. It is going to be your last chance to see it.
This is the last chance to see it. Also,
in theaters.
Last chance for spoilers.
Last chance for spoilers, because from here on out, it's gonna be, all hell's gonna break loose. We're not gonna like sugarcoat anything. We're not gonna like keep anything under wraps. We will be talking about the actual movie. But yeah, like, please do yourself a service. Like Megan said, if you think this film looks boring on paper or boring but based on the trailer, it's not. it's a beautiful and captivating story with so many fun themes and bits of like context into it, whether it's in the film industry or politics, or just the theme in general of a first love, because that's kind of one of the big through lines in the whole film too, honestly. But yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't see this film. So please, 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 before you continue this episode, stop and go buy your tickets. Yeah. Or go see it on Monday. Go see it on the 19th and then come back.
This is like the stop point. It's like, guys, like from here on out, this is where that spoiler disclaimer comes into play. Like, we have to start spoiling the movie to talk about why certain performances work. We were as vague as humanly possible for a reason.
Yep. But if you are daring and you decide to keep going with this episode, Godspeed.
If you're like, fuck it, I just want to hear spoilers, I don't want to see this, cool, you're doing a disservice to yourself, but...
Yeah, you're doing a disservice to yourself. But, I mean, granted, even though it's going to be in theaters only for these 2 nights, we're going to see it eventually on home video, and I swear to God, 11 Arts, please make a really, really pretty...
Please make a limited edition as Specialist Makuya for this.
Please, please, please. I will pre-order it, buy it day one, like day one buy, please. I beg you. And if someone can do us a solid and rescue Tokyo Godfathers and dub it, I would also be grateful. Because it's really weird seeing, like, basically in the span of a year, both Perfect Blue and Millennium Actress rescued and released. It's so weird. But now we just have Tokyo Godfathers, maybe Paprika could get rescued, and Paranoid Agent, for God's sake. Oh, Paranoid Agent has been out of print for years. Anyway, ranting over. Bottom line, please go see the film on Monday the 19th if you haven't got your tickets already. We're gonna go see it too while we are in Dallas as a huge fucking group, and it's gonna be so much fun. Like, I think Meg and I are the only ones in the Dub Talk crew who have seen the film, so basically everybody else is going in blind.
Yeah, we were going to show, like, a couple of them at AB, and then we just didn't because we were lazy and tired, and we showed
But I'm glad we didn't.
We also showed Rich Your Name instead, and when we got to the twist in that movie, he's like, how the hell did you all keep this from me for, like, 2 years?
It's like, I don't know. But, yeah, I'm glad we didn't get to show, like, Roots and Andrew and on the film, honestly. Because now they're gonna see it with us on the big screen. It's gonna be so much fun. I'm excited. Oh, okay. I need to calm down. Anyway, so I think we're good to. Are we good to go to our first set of characters? Okay, good. Again, your last final warning. This is gonna be spoiler filled for the rest of the episode. So please, 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 please be careful. Okay. Good. So we're gonna start off. We have a couple groups, and then after that, we're gonna be going more individually, including Chiyoko Fujiwara herself. That's gonna be a fun discussion. So we're gonna start with a couple of individuals who are primarily important regarding the Genai Studios story. Basically, these two are the more prominent characters in Genai Studios that Chiyoko Fujiwara interacts with over the course of her lifetime. So we have Miss Eiko Shimao, and we have Otaki. Eiko Shimao, when young Chiyoko starts out in her career as an actress, Eiko is one of the more big, well-known actresses for the studio during that time, and also has a bit of jealousy towards Chiyoko throughout the course of her life. Because
basically, it feels like Chiyoko shows up, and then she kind of gets shoved into all these, like, old, mean spinster roles, because Chiyoko is the new cute girl.
Yep. And then Otaki, he is, I believe, the nephew?
Yes.
Of the studio head, who is an up-and-coming director, at least at the start of Chiyoko's career. But later on, eventually, after he does a ploy to steal things, essentially, and involves Eiko, he ends up going on to marry Chiyoko for a period of time. For the individuals who are voicing these characters, from the press release, who's playing Eiko Shimao, we have Miss Laura Post, who has been characters and in series like as Ragio Kira... Yeah, wow, I can't...
Ragio Kiryuin?
Thank you, in Kill la Kill. Akari Kawamoto in March Comes In Like a Lion, and Miki Okudera in Your Name. Now, Otaki was not announced in the press release. We did get confirmation, though, from 11 Arts as to who this individual is. But also, if you know your anime voice actors and things like that, it is very, very easy to know who this is. Otakai is voiced by Keith Silverstein, who has been in roles such as Caster of Red in Fate Apocrypha, Aoyama's father in another 11 Arts dub, Penguin Highway, and because this is fucking me, I have to say it, Johann Liebert in Monster.
I was stuck in my head. I've been listening to that song for like the last 3 days straight.
You're listening to humming Isabella's Lullaby right now?
Yep. I will always hum that. It's such an easy thing to hum, that's why.
I know it is. It's so pretty. So, Eiko and Otaki.
Okay, so I'll be real, that younger Otaki, I could not tell that was Keith Silverstein.
I knew in an instant. I've heard.
I was like, wait a minute. Like, you're more used to listening to him to me, because like whenever I listen to like Keith Silverstein stuff, I'm not used to Johann Liebert. I'm used to him being like more over the top, like Caster of Red in Ogai Mori.
Yeah, I can see.
Oh.
I mean,
my daughter poured OJ in the gas tank and the car exploded. My dearest Elise. My favorite thing watching season 3 of Bungo is when Hardy goes, "So is Elise Ogai's stand or something?" I'm like, "Yes, we went over this in the episode. PS Vita Sextalis, remember?"
It's very true. No, it's like, what's funny is while Johann Liebert is the most well-known role I know him for, like, Johann, it's funny you mentioned, like, when he was the younger version of Otaki, you couldn't recognize him, and I did. Johann's character during Monster, I think, is in his early 20s, I believe.
So this sounds more like a role I've never fucking listened.
His sister Anna is in school, and they're twins, so same age range, really.
Yeah. So, see, I've never seen Monster because it's not legally available in the States.
Thanks, Fizz.
And thanks, Fizz. Thanks, guys.
Someone rescue that.
Listen here, I might have to import myself an Australian set. Like, I'm on fucking.
I'm about to say my two biggest rescue dreams are Monster and Paranoia Agent. Please, someone do that. Thanks. Bye.
Just the Dark Lord Clucknecker, if you can hear me.
Please.
Dark Lord Clucknecker, if you can hear me.
Our Lord and Savior.
No, so I genuinely really liked both these performances, especially Otaki. You can really hear how Keith ages him up throughout his performance. Same with Laura as Eiko. I think she's a little bit more compelling as a character than he is, because he's a piece of shit.
He really is.
Like the this is a guy, like the character, not Keith. Keith's the lovely human being.
Keith is fantastic.
The character is awful. Like, let it be known that the first thing he does when he sees, like, a high school teenage girl is to hit on her.
Yeah.
And he is clearly not in high school.
Otaki is one of those characters, and I think this is a small flaw on the film itself. He's not extremely developed, and he's kind of a one motivation kind of character.
I think that's the point,
he's also
though.
one of the smaller characters, though, in the film.
Yeah. Like, here's the other thing about Otaki, too. Like, there is a clear age gap between him and Chiyoko, and the fact is this, he's a creeper pursuing a younger girl.
Yep.
I think that he does a really good job, especially, one of my favorite scenes with him is actually when they're, on the beach after, what is World War II. And he's trying to seduce her, and her key clinks against her martini glass, and he stands in there, and then just, like, that's when I realized, oh, that's Keith Silverstein.
That's when you noticed it?
That's when I figured that out. I was like, that's Keith.
Good job.
It took me, shut up. Shut your mouth. So I think he did a really good job, but the real standout between the two is definitely Laura Post as Eiko, who she sounds very haughty, she sounds very like, oh my god, why are you making me work with this girl? I don't like her, I hate her. Mm-hmm. I'm, like, the jealousy, like, and here's the thing, she doesn't do over-the-top vitriol. No. She does it very much in the age-old, she does it in the very Agretzko put your smile on your face at the workplace way.
Yeah, kinda does, yeah.
There are some times later when she gets older, and she's starting to play, Chiyoko's mother in a lot of things.
Yes.
Where she gets a lot more, like, the thing I kind of described her as a spinster.
I mean, it's pretty accurate in terms of, like, character tropes, really.
Yeah, she's very much the bitter older woman who, like, I think she also kind of had a crush on Otaki. and lost him to Chiyoko.
It's possible, but that distinction
it's
wasn't
never
really
made clear. But like she's a mild psychopath, by the way. Let's just go with this. Eiko pretty much almost gets Chiyoko killed at one point.
Yeah.
But like the whole thing where she steals the key and gives it to Otaki, and I think one of my favorite deliveries by Laura is when Eiko messes up, I think, like, a scene where, she is... Not Eiko. Where Chiyoko messes up a scene when she's her, kind of her, like, 30s and 40-year-old self.
Oh, about, getting married?
Yeah, about getting married.
Yep, okay.
And she kind of has, like, I want to talk about a certain thing about Chiyoko and what she sees, when we talk about Chiyoko herself. But, she goes... this, like, I think she kind of says something like, this old lady needs to, like, go take a break or something.
Yeah. And
she gets up, and she goes, and she sees, another character, and she says, it's like, oh, didn't you know, the princess
is in a bad mood. Yep.
And she says it in that way that is very much like, oh! Like, kind of like the evil stepmom kind of voice.
Yeah, like, even
without being super over the top.
Yeah, like, even then when she gave the line of, like, this old lady has to take a break, like, you can hear, like, the subtle sarcasm in that delivery, though. Because she really doesn't like these roles, and she really doesn't like playing opposite of Chiyoko.
Yeah, like, at all. She hates her, and...
Yep.
I think her kind of, like, the last moment you really get to see her on screen is where Chiyoko is cleaning her house in her husband's office, in Otaki's office, and she finds the key, and she says, I was so I guess I played my role as the thief, but but even now, I'm too tired to hate you anymore.
Yep.
And the way that Laura delivers it sounds like a woman who's just really fed up with this and tired.
Yep.
And she does a great job.
Because one of the key parts with the key getting stolen in the first place is so when Chiyoko first started and they were filming a film in Manchuria, they were talking about finding the man with the key who had the key and everything like that. And Eiko's idea was for Chiyoko to see a fortune teller, and the fortune teller basically lied to her about where he could be hiding and puts her in danger.
Yeah, it gets her into a train wreck.
Yep, and it was Eiko who basically set that up, which Otaki found out, so he basically blackmailed her to help him steal the key from Chiyoko because he believes it's the one thing that's keeping him from her.
Yes, it's the love of this other man.
Yes. Which is very interesting, honestly. I mean, it's a trope that you can say has been done a few times before, but how it's executed, I think it's actually rather well done in the film. Are you good?
Yeah, no, I'm good. You can go ahead.
Okay. I was like, I could tell if she was done or not. So, going into... I gotta bring my notes a little bit closer to myself. Going into where we first meet Otaki, I could tell it was Keith Silverstein instantly. I'm more accustomed to his range and how he portrays characters and his performance. So it was very, 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 very quickly I could figure that out. And Otaki as a character, he's such a conniving snake. He really is. He's an asshole. And not just in... it's a subtle, like a general subtlety to, like, that cunning and that, scaly, slimy snake, that snake persona that Otaki kind of has. And it's not just, we don't just see it towards Eiko and Chiyoko, we actually see it towards Genya as well, because a key part in the film that we find out about Genya, who's one of the documentary filmmakers who's interviewing older Chiyoko, he actually used to work at the studio.
Yes.
Where Chiyoko had most of her career. He was a young...
I think the way that Genya himself describes at the beginning of the movie, because here's another thing about this movie. It's essentially set, the way that the movie is framed is Genya is going to shoot a documentary about Chiyoko's life.
Yes.
And this is the first time that since Chiyoko just outright disappeared from society, that she's given an interview. And before they go see him, you see that Genya Studios is being torn down.
Yep, in the distance. Yep.
And him and Ida stop there, and he says, "This is Genya Studios." Basically, that Chiyoko had sustained it for several decades.
Yes. But yeah, like Keith's Otaki does give that cunning tone to him. Very reminiscent of Johann Liebert if you've seen Monster. But Otaki, though, has such a slimy tone to him compared to Johann, though. And I think it's just a fantastic performance from Keith. What's really, really amusing, going back to the scene where Chiyoko finds the key again and learns about what happened, basically he kind of shrugs it off. You know how he kind of shrugs it off? He's like, well, what's done is done, right? And then Chiyoko just stares at him like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, you asshole. It was, loved
fucking,
it.
you piece of shit.
It's like, I married you. You are such a jerk. Why did I do that to myself? I mean, it's never confirmed in the film if she fully does, like, divorce and leave him. I think it's at least heavily implied, though, that she does. As for Laura Post as Eiko, Laura Post as Eiko is, oh, Lord. She makes Eiko such a bitch. Eiko is a very jealous individual. But at the same time, Laura Post also has such this, like, prim and proper kind of tone, like, it's like, I'm the one who's in charge, I'm the one who's special, that kind of tone to it, like, almost to an extent of a diva, if that makes sense.
She is a diva, that's why.
Yeah, she's an absolute diva, a bit more subtle, a little bit downplayed, but Eiko at the end of the day is a diva. She was the center of attention for the studio for the longest time, and then in comes Chiyoko, and she basically ruins everything. And she does also make a point during that scene where she admits to stealing the key for Otaki, where she was absolutely jealous of Chiyoko's, like, youthfulness, like her internal youth. That's one of the main things that she's actually jealous of Chiyoko for. And then how she's, like, relegated to the old lady, the spinster kind of roles, and she's like, I've been stuck here aging, you are just eternal youth going on here, and that's basically the main reason why she's jealous of Chiyoko. That entire scene, it's in and of itself, I think is done absolutely well. And for Laura in particular, I think that's probably the high point of the performance for her as well. But we do see Eiko, while we are going through the repertoire of films for Chiyoko, again, Eiko is a part of those same films, so we do see Eiko in different films as well. Portraying a bad...
She's usually the various villains that are in Chiyoko's way.
Yep. So she, at one point, portrayed a bad ninja. She portrayed a mean head geisha. She portrayed a version of Chiyoko's mom in a film too, like we kind of talked about before, where basically the scene is, hey, you're not going to be young forever, you need to get married, that whole thing. Which that scene doubles as something else entirely, and I think we'll end up discussing that a little bit later. But Laura Post definitely is a standout. It's a beauty. It's a regal and graceful tone, but it does have that underlying subtlety to it, as to her jealousy. I'm not gonna say hatred. She does hate her, but it's not like a seething hatred where it's just like brimming and boiling at the seams, coming at the seams. But you can sense that it's more very subtle tone in terms of the hatred and the jealousy, and I think it's just fantastically done. It's exactly what Eiko should be, honestly. And Laura Post is just fantastic. Are we ready to move on to our next two characters?
Yes.
Okay, So the next two characters, these two are more central to Chiyoko's personal life in general, with one in particular that's very, very important. They don't have actual names. They are referred to as the man with the key and the man with the scar. So the man with the key meets a rather young Chiyoko. She rescues him from being chased by police, which the man with the scar, I would assume, is the lead investigator on whatever case this is.
He's basically like he's like an investigator with the military police.
Yes. The man with the key is a painter. We also find out later on that he's a political activist, predating World War II, I believe.
Yeah, he's an anti-right activist, basically.
There it is.
He's a leftist.
Yes, he is. And he basically is Chiyoko's first love, in a way. He manages to escape the military police and runs away, leaving behind the central symbol, essentially, for the entire film, which is the key that Chiyoko has throughout the majority of the film. And is the key to open the most important thing, is what it's referred to as. As for the man with the scar, we already kind of described him. He's basically a head honcho, higher-ups for the military police, who has been chasing the man with the key throughout the entire course of the film. Unfortunately, we do find out later on in the film that the man with the key was captured at one point in time, and unfortunately he was tortured to death by the man with the scar. And we're not actually even told that until Genya tells us that by the end of the film. Because again, Genya did work for Genai Studios when he was younger, and he actually interacted with the man with the scar, and he's the one who told him about it. So from that point on, Chiyoko's basically chasing, as Genya refers to, chasing a shadow the rest of the time, throughout the course of her life. So these two individuals, they were not on the original press release. We did get confirmation from 11 Arts on the performance, the castings of both characters. For the man with the scar, I'm going to start with him. We have Mr. J.P. Karlik, who has been more in Western animation rather than anime. The only other major role he has for anime credits is, I'm going to mispronounce his name, Kuzo Fuyutsuki, in the redub of Neon Genesis Evangelion. In terms of Western animation, though, you might know him as Reese in Batman: The Killing Joke. Sorry. This is a funny one, and I really had to bring it up. He's also the Boss Baby in Boss Baby Back in Business.
You're welcome, Internet.
You are welcome, Internet. And he's also in various other video game roles as well. As for the man with the key, this is a name that's going to be more familiar to us on the anime side. A little bit, at least. That is Mr. Greg Chun, who has been characters and performed roles such as Ryoru Hirotsu in Bungo Stray Dogs, a.k.a. a member of old distinguished gentleman from Black Blizzard.
That other guy who knows that Mori straight up cut the old mafia leader's throat.
Oh, yeah.
The other guy who knows that.
Yep, he's also Tatsumi Leonard Aragaki in Megalobox and Hidomi Iba in Sirius the Jaeger.
He's the part of Megalobox that makes me fucking cry.
I still need to watch Megalobox. I own it because it was, God, how much did I get it? It was only like 30, the standard Blu-ray edition. It was like $30 at Blue Moose. Andrew, I was texting him. He's like, you had to buy it. I'm like, okay.
You should have. I was gonna say you should have splurged for the LE. I have the LE and it is bright ass orange, by the way.
I saw it. Andrew has it too. Yeah. When I visited him, I saw it, but I was like, I would be going to.
Like you can find that thing like in the dark. It is very bright.
My only thing is I would be going to that show basically blind. I'm like, I'm not gonna drop the money for a show I may not find.
But
dope. That's just me. But anyway.
Coughs on the girl who bought Katsukiki Tokenrambu blind.
Good job.
I like Tokenrambu. It's guaranteed that I will enjoy the hell out of it, even if I'm not happy with it.
I mean, point taken.
So, these two characters, despite being so crucial to the plot, actually don't talk as much.
Yep.
I'll start with Greg Chun. I had no fucking idea who played this guy. We thought it was Chris Bevins. I thought it was Robbie Damon.
I thought it was Chris Bevins at one point.
I thought it was Robbie Damon at one point. Like, I just went through the list of people I knew who were in California, and I was like, God damn it, it's Greg.
Again, thank you,
Greg,
Arts,
stop.
for letting us know.
Greg, why do you keep Greg? Why do you keep doing this to me? Like, I could never point out Greg Chun characters. It's kind of terrifying.
It's like Ray Chase.
Yeah, like it's like Greg Chun, Ray Chase, and Damon Mills are like the three people I could never, unless you told me they were in the show, I'd never find them.
Yep.
No, I thought Greg was absolutely like, you can definitely see why Chiyoko fell for him. He plays up the, like, that kind of mysterious attitude without being like, hey, you know, I'm a rebel. Like that type of voice.
Like an angsty teen rebel.
Like the angsty, like Sasuke. Like Sasuke on the, like
Sasuke. No.
No, stop doing the man with the key, a disservice. At least his cause was right. At least his cause was righteous, unlike Sasuke's.
Fair.
Fuck the war.
Fuck the war.
Fuck nationalism. Fuck your nationalistic bullshit.
Anyway.
But I think that he did a really good job portraying that in the limited capacity that he was there. The part where he talks about the moon,
yes,
is so beautiful.
Absolutely.
And a huge shout out to the adaptive writing on that scene about talking about the 14th day and how there's still hope left before the moon is full. Mm-hmm. It's just so well done. And then J.P. Carlack as the man with the scar, who you can tell in the times that you see him, his voice is growing older.
Yep. Because
unlike the man with the key, who you eventually find out the man with the scar tortured and killed. Mm-hmm. And he never tells that to Chiyoko.
Nope, it's just Genya.
Genya is the only person who ever knows that he killed this man.
Yep.
And between the first time you see the man with a scar, who looks like honestly, to give everybody like a kind of who's never seen this movie and is for some reason still listening to us at this point, even though we've after multiple times told you just go watch the movie, the man with the scar looks like he walked out of an episode of Joker Game.
Really, he does. You are right.
Like that, if you want a good reference for where the beginning of this movie honestly takes place, the beginning of Chiyoko's like life as a movie star takes place is Joker Game.
Yep, that's a good reference.
He looks like somebody who walked out of Joker Game.
Yep.
Like, he looks like he walked out of D-Agency.
Yeah, honestly, he does. You're right.
But when he's done, he looks like somebody who's walked out of Megalo Box.
Oh, God damn it.
I can say that as somebody who's watched both.
I can't.
J.P. Carlack goes from being kind of this, like, authoritarian villain who, even at one point when Chiyoko is portraying the geisha.
Yes.
So it's at the end, it's just before the end of her, her early 20s, which is, I want to say this is just before the firebombing of Japan. When the U.S. starts to firebomb Japan, and eventually we drop the nuclear bomb on.
Because we have the geisha scene, and then we have the war film. It's the montage of other films that Chiyoko does, but then it's the film where she's imprisoned.
Yeah, it's the film where she goes from the Meiji era, because I've watched Meiji Tokyo Renka, and that outfit looks like something like Mei would wear. Mm-hmm. Thank you. She goes the kind of Meiji era film to the war film.
Yep. Because
it goes the prison film goes where she opens the door and the movie transitions from her being in the Meiji prison to the firebombing in Japan.
Yep. So it goes through that, and then I think the imprisonment and her briefly seeing
the imprisonment's before
key again.
The imprisonment is before
the firebombing.
The firebombing.
Yep.
She sees the man with the key again, and Greg Chun again can't really tell it's him. But the man with the scar confronts her and goes, "You're lying to me," and that's why he arrests her.
Yep.
For truancy in the next film, but and then she gets out, but. To me, I think the most heartbreaking scene is when he's this old man who's gone blind in one eye and is homeless.
Yep.
He is at the lowest of his life, and he gets on his knees and goes, "Please forgive me for what I've done." And his voice is just so very haunting. And then you get where when Genya's like, yeah, no, he told me he died and what he did. And it's just A+, guys. So go ahead, Steph.
Yeah, like, kind of just to piggyback off of that, especially with that scene for JP, it's the reason why he decided to seek out Chiyoko is he wanted to atone for the mistakes he's done. That's his reasoning for seeking out every single person that he's ever hurt in his life, is for atonement. And Chiyoko is one of them because, I mean, again, based on what we can tell, granted, reality and cinema do blend and blur the lines a bit here. So we can say it's very much implied that Chiyoko was imprisoned for being an accomplice to this political activist. And they wanted information from her for it. But, yeah, that scene is just, JP is very haunting. Very, very haunting, throughout the course of that scene. And then even the younger versions, too, he's very authoritative and very strong and strict, and it's a really interesting performance to me. I know nothing about JP Carolick. Nothing
Yeah,
at all.
I have not watched the Ava dub.
I have not watched the Ava dub. I have not seen Killing Joke. And I apologize, I've never seen Boss Baby back in business.
None of us have, and none of us will.
No offense. But yeah, I'm not gonna ever probably watch that. No offense. But anyway, that performance and the transition from this authoritative, militaristic personality into essentially what we can see as a broken man on a journey for repentance, for all of his actions that he did during the wartime. It's a very smooth progression and transition with the character, though it may seem a little bit abrupt, that shift in character, when all of a sudden we see him again. But at the same time, given the film itself and how the story of Chiyoko's life does progress throughout the course of it, it makes sense because it's, again, specifically through her eyes, that all of a sudden we have this abrupt visitor and this man with the scar comes back as an old man. He's just like sorry for what he did. As for the man with the key and Greg Chun, it was downright, for some reason the word I want to use is chilling, but I know that's not the right word I want to use. It's
not the
what?
It's not the right word.
No, it's not.
I know, but I know what you mean.
It's like the man with the key is probably the most important character in this story. Without him, this story in the film would go nowhere. He is the main motivation for Chiyoko to even get into film in the first place. He is the main motivation for her determination and everything else she's done in her life, because he's the one that she wants to see again. And that key that she ends up having is a reminder of what she's searching for. And it's the performance that Greg has to portray not only has to convince Chiyoko into motivating herself into this path in her life, but also convince the audience as well to show us, hey, this guy is mysterious, but he's a kind and gentle soul, and we want to see him again. He needs to be an interesting enough character for us to really follow and accept Chiyoko's mindset of wanting to see him again. And Greg Chun's performance of that character is just, I think it's really well done. It has the mysterious air to it. It has the gentle, kind soul. It has the philosophical tones to it. Like that whole scene in the storehouse with the discussion of the moon. It honestly was really breathtaking and very well done. So, since The Man with the Key is a huge, important piece in the story itself, Greg Chun portrayed it very, very well in order to convince Chiyoko and the audience that, hey, we do want to see this character again. This guy is worth the hunt and the search for. So I think the performance is very well done. Absolutely. Okay, so now that we've talked about two individuals more involved with Chiyoko's personal life, the next two characters, we're going to talk about them individually, but we are going to discuss the two documentary filmmakers that are involved in the story and are two of the main characters of the film itself. But first, we're going to talk about Kyoji Ida, who is the cameraman and also looks like a hippie hipster kind of dude. And Ida's main purpose in the film is to be the person grounded in reality and also break the fourth wall on several occasions. He's the one that doesn't fall for this reality-bending horseshit.
Yes.
And Ida's a fun-ass character. I honestly didn't appreciate Ida before watching the dub, which is great. Because in the Japanese, he's kind of just there as a little bit of a comedic relief type character in my eyes. But watching the film in English now, he's more of the fourth wall breaking kind of character. Which in a film like this, it's definitely needed. So, the individual who is voicing Ida, it's one Mr. Ben Diskin, who I'm pretty sure a lot of people are very familiar with. He has portrayed characters such as Wolf in Blood Lad, Bon in The Seven Deadly Sins, and Yesgroff in Sirius the Jaeger.
Okay, so let's be real right off the bat that Ben Diskin's character is the funniest character in the movie.
Yeah, actually. I appreciate this character more in English now.
He is absolutely hilarious. In the sense that he is very much the guy who's like, why are we even here? What is this? You freaking old, you damn boomers. He is very much the audience surrogate to this. Because obviously, Genya, as the movie goes on, he's kind of also the person who's unfolding this mystery too by watching his boss be crazy, and he's just like, what are you doing? Why are you acting these out with this? Because like for him, he's seeing the weird way that reality is presented, memory is presented as this reality, as this interactive film that you walk into. Mm-hmm. But in all honesty, they are just sitting in Chiyoko's living room.
Yeah,
and he's just there like, the fuck, y'all?
Basically, Millennium Actress. Old school VR before VR was cool.
Yeah. Suck on this, Beat Saber.
Let's go!
But, like, he's just there, and Ben, the way that Ben plays him is obviously, he's a little nerdy, but he never does, like, the Poindexter voice.
Yes.
He does sound a little bit, he sounds younger, but he sounds very much like, okay, why are we doing this? What's going on? Why are we here? Is this happening? Hello? Does the bus run through here?
Yep.
There are times where he's just like, boss, what the? And then some of my other favorite deliveries is like when Genya's getting so into it that he's like walking in front of things. And he's like, you're in the shot.
Yep.
Ben's performance is very, very funny.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's not that it's funny and takes away from the film. Obviously, when it needs to be more quiet, more contemplative and serious, it is. Mm-hmm. When it does need to punch itself up, it does. Ben is a master of his craft at this point. Yes. I don't think any of us have ever actually said anything bad about Ben Diskus for a reason. Long live you, Hydus Human Sona. It's hard to say because I think that Koji Ida is a lot of fun to listen to, and I think Ben's performance is a lot of fun to listen to, but, like, he's the audience surrogate,
yep.
And because of that, like, it's hard to talk about his character without talking about other characters' performances, because he bounces off Genya's actor so well.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, even though dubs are not recorded in the same room with each other, unless through certain circumstances, and we don't know if there were in this case. I think that Ben's chemistry with Genya's actor is phenomenal, and Ben's energy that he brings to the movie is unlike any other characters, too. He is very much the straight man to all of what the fuck's going on. So great job, Ben, and I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, I think the main purpose of Ida as a character is, like you said, he's the audience surrogate. Because there's so much going on, and you can't really tell what's real and what's film anymore throughout the course of this movie. Because both intertwine and bleed over each other rather seamlessly. So it's good to have Ida as a character to not only be the audience surrogate, but the one who's grounded in the reality of what's actually going on. He's not an active player in the films themselves, while Genya, on the other hand, he's just full force taking part of it. And Ben Diskin gives Ida such a fun tone to him. A good amount of it, he is a hilarious character. I think it's kind of, in its own way, a dry humor. It can be a very dry humor. I think that's the kind of comedic tone that this character has, which this works very well. It's not comedic, like Megan was saying, it's not a comedic, hammy kind of performance, but it's a much more subtle one. And as the audience surrogate, as the one grounded in this reality, the dry humor, and a good amount of the fourth wall breaking. Well, I wouldn't say fourth wall breaking to the audience, more like a fourth wall breaking to the characters in the film,
not to the audience. It's like he's very self-aware about the movies that he's in.
Yeah, when I call it fourth wall breaking, I refer to him breaking the fourth wall in the sequence of events that he's involved with. Not towards us. There's no point in time where Ida actually does break the actual fourth wall to the audience who's watching the film. It's such a great performance, and I've always loved Ben Diskin and whatever he does. Like Megan, I don't think we've ever had an instance where it's a poor or a bad performance when Ben Diskin is involved. But at the end of the day, I honestly, Ida was a character I kind of found annoying in the Japanese. Ben made him not only more tolerable, but much more, I can see the surrogate much more clearly. I can hear the dry humor much more clearly. It's definitely a performance that makes me appreciate the character a lot more than I did before. So for that, I salute you, sir. You are fantastic. We good to move on?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about our other documentary filmmaker and fanboy, Chiyoko Fujiwara fanboy. That's going to be a very important thing in this discussion. Genya Tachibana. So he is, I believe he's the studio head for Lotus Studios. That's the studio that is producing the documentary about Genai Studios. And interviewing Chiyoko Fujiwara. Genya, we've mentioned a few times before, he actually used to work when he was younger for Genai Studios and has had interactions with Chiyoko, which by the time we did learn that he was, I guess he was like maybe like a grunt or a production assistant during that time.
Yeah, he was like a lower level production apprentice at Genya Studios who never really moved his way up because he kept getting told off by Otaki.
Yep. So he's this low level grunt. So by the time we learn this a little bit, he does have a few interactions with adult Chiyoko. Not so much young Chiyoko. Young Chiyoko never interacts with Genya at all. It's mostly just the adult version and the elder version. So voicing Genya Tachibana is Christian Swindler. I swear to God, and I was on the phone with Andrew last night too. We tried very hard to find any credits for this person. We found nothing. This is the only named character on ANN that he's had. There's nothing on IMDb as far as we can tell. Nothing on BTAV or BTVA. Nothing.
Yeah, like we cannot find anything about this guy.
So for all intents and purposes, and based on what we know, this is the first role that we've ever seen from this individual. Whether or not he's been involved in theater, involved in actual films, well, granted, we would have seen something if he was. short films, anything, video games. We know nothing about this person outside of him being Genya Tachibana.
And I believe he is both older and younger Genya. Like, we did not get a clarification.
We did not get clarification. That's something I did not get to ask. I completely forgot. Excuse me. But yeah, we absolutely know nothing about this person.
So we're going to assume that he is.
We're going to assume
that he is, and if we're wrong...
We're going to assume he's younger Genya, but we're going to also assume that this
If we're wrong, we'll put an annotation here on YouTube.
Probably. But we also got to assume that this is his first role ever.
Yes.
We have to assume it.
Yeah, no, this is my favorite performance in the film.
Nice.
He does old Genya, he does older, like, 40-year-old Genya, he does younger Genya with such aplomb. He does the bad acting that Genya does throughout the movies, because Genya keeps self-inserting himself as these people who save and help Chiyoko through her life as these characters in movies, whether they be random ninja, sugar daddy rickshaw drivers.
Yes.
That one's my personal favorite.
That one was fantastic.
I've got 3 million yen to get you out.
That's great.
Whether it be a desperate spaceman trying to prevent him from going, and Christian plays him with such energy and aplomb, and he knows when to reel it back in. He knows when to do the bad acting. He knows when to be emotional. He knows when to do all these things, because you find out as much as Chiyoko is pursuing the man with the key, she was his first love.
Yeah, that's a key part of his character.
And that he was pursuing her. And you find out later that he saves her in an earthquake, because earthquakes are something that always follows her.
Yep. It's even explicitly stated. Older Chiyoko said when she was born, she was actually born during an earthquake.
She was born through the Great Kanto earthquake, yes. And it killed her dad.
Yep.
He is so much fun to listen to when he's emotional, but for me, I think the most fun that Christian gets to have is when he's self-inserting himself into all these movies.
It's the greatest thing in the world.
It's so fun, and it's just genuinely very funny, and it's such a funny and charming performance, and he brings out, like, this quibble in his voice, especially when he's, like, reciting all the words. Yep. And the thing that really gets me is how much he sounds like an honest-to-God fanboy.
That's the key part in this.
And it's never in the way that you see in, like, a lot of parody stuff.
No.
Where, like, he's, like, an obnoxious Poindexter.
It's also not, like...
I cried to this part 53 times!
It's also not to the extent of, speaking of fanboys and speaking of Cone, Perfect Blue, there is...
Not the creepy
crazy
rapist
stalker kind of fanboy that we run into.
Not the creepy rapist stalker guy.
It's a nice blend. It's in the middle.
He's very much just a charming, and he almost feels, even when he's like a 40-something-year-old man, like a childish sense to him, and this wonder. I just love at the beginning, this is Genai's studio, and he sounds like he's doing his best David Attenborough.
Yes.
David Attenborough presents Weebs on the Move.
Weebs on the Move.
But I love this. This is an actor who you better please start gentle sir, good sir, please start doing more anime.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you are this good, please start doing more anime. I don't want to take everything, so Steph, go ahead.
I mean, I'm gonna piggyback off of you. Yeah, like, please start do more anime. Like, clearly, again, for us, for all intents and purposes, for us, he is completely unknown. So for us, this is his first role, like, ever in our minds. He has acting chops, clearly. More than likely, he's been professionally trained. I would have to assume that, because you can't tell that if he's a brand new actor. So I'm gonna assume he has some credits and he has an acting resume somewhere. We just don't know anything about this person. And there's such a wonderful blend to this character that I love so much. There's the fanboy, there's the kind-hearted man, the emotional man, the gentle. He has like a childlike wonder to him sometimes, and he gets a lot of the fun aspects as well for it. It gives just enough of a comedic tone from being too hammy, and this includes the moments where he is being the bad actor. It's not an over-the-top... Each of the roles that he self-inserts himself into, they're not over the top for it to be corny and cheesy and hammy. They're just enough to get the point across, which I think is very, very well done. And Genya is such... He definitely is a fanboy, but he also has this inner turmoil. Whenever we see, through the course of the film, whenever we see Otake, you can tell he hates this bastard. Older Genya, like...
Because he knows! He fucking knows!
That's the subtlest hint about it. That Genya knows much more than what's let on. It's not a subtle anger because of, like, jealousy or like, as a fanboy kind of jealousy. It's an anger because he knows the events, he knows what happens through his point of view and who Otake really is. So those are the subtle hints of Genya actually being more involved in the story than what we originally thought in the beginning. So, and it gives us more it gives him more motivation and more reason than just being the fanboy, because legitimately it shows that he did have feelings and an affection for her, more than just being a fan of her films. And he's very much a selfless person, a selfless character, because he saved Chiyoko twice. He saved Chiyoko one time during a filming of one of her films, right before she just up and vanished for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he also saves her again during the interview with Chiyoko. Because another earthquake occurs. It happens a couple times in the film, actually. But this one, before she really just keeled over from whatever her illness is, and was shipped to the hospital towards the end, he does save her from another falling beam during an earthquake.
Before she passes away of, like, she's a heart attack or something.
I think something like that. It's not made 100% clear, and unfortunately, because there are prescription bags in one shot, we don't have a translation as to what exactly those are in terms of medications. But he's a very selfless individual. He's a very kind-hearted individual. He's very funny. He's, like, there's a lot of aspects. You would think in the beginning that Genya is a surface-level character of, like, oh, he's the fanboy. He's a upstart documentary person and a fanboy, and all he wants is just talk to this person. But there's actually more layers and more depth to Genya's character compared to Ida. Ida only serves one purpose throughout the film. Genya has more complexity and more of a story to him. And Christian Swindler is, I think, downright fantastic throughout the whole course of the film, from every little aspect of it. I think we're good to move on.
Yes.
We're going to do something very, very challenging and different. So, the last character we have is Chiyoko Fujiwara herself. There are actually 3 voices to Chiyoko. There's a young version, an adult version, and an elder version.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do something very crazy, and we're going to talk about each performance separately. We're not going to cover all of them together. Because realistically, with these stages in Chiyoko's life, each one, both of us feel, is very significant in terms of performance. So, we're going to start with the young Chiyoko Fujiwara, who, her range in terms of the film kind of occurs from, obviously, the early start of Chiyoko's career, at least up to the firebombing incident. So younger Chiyoko is probably the one we see the most throughout the film.
Yes.
So, in terms of who voices the younger version of Chiyoko Fujiwara, that is Miss Abby Trott, who has portrayed characters such as Ichi Misato in Mob Psycho 100, Veronica in The Seven Deadly Sins, and Yukon Yukino. Why did it autocorrected on me?
Thanks, autocorrect!
Autocorrect. Yukina, I believe it is, right?
I think it's Yukina, and if I'm right, she's the girl with the fucking back muscles.
I haven't seen it, but it's it's Kabanari of the Iron Fortress.
Hold on a second. I need to make sure that she's. Hell yeah! She's the girl with the fucking back muscles.
Megan is happy now, but
no, I love that character. She's the train driver, and she's literally one of here's the thing. I love in anime where there are girls who are like, I'm muscular and strong, and they actually draw them with muscles.
Yeah.
Like, amen.
Anyway.
Amen, friends.
Anyway, Abby Trott, what do you think of little Babby Chiyoko?
I think she is my favorite of the Chiyokos. She is so youthful and cheerful, and getting to hear her, like, one of the fun things about Abby getting to play young Chiyoko is that she has to learn how to become a better actress as she grows up.
That's definitely one of the challenges that she has to overcome.
She has to learn how to go from being this naive schoolgirl to this, like, icon of Japanese cinema, and because it kind of, like, the way that they imply it in the movie is that Chiyoko becomes, like, the biggest name in Japanese movies of all time.
Pretty much, yes.
In this fictional version of Japan. And she has this one part in the beginning with sorry, I have to scroll back up for names, with Eiko, where they're in Manchuria, and she is like, she flubs up her line because she's nervous and she's thinking about the man with the key, and then she taps into those feelings, and everyone's like, holy shit, you can act.
Yeah, basically.
And I loved it. She has these moments, and now we can finally talk about this. Mm-hmm. One of my absolute favorite moments that Abby nails with the drama and this sense that, by the way, one of the things I also really kind of appreciate about Abby's performance is that you can tell that she's acting like somebody would in the films of that time period.
Yep, absolutely. I think I know where you're about to go with this.
You better know where we're about to go with this. Because assuming that she's like, what, 16 when they're starting, she's probably like maybe in her late 20s when when the war ends.
Yeah. Because at that point, because adult Chiyoko is the range of 20s to 40s.
It's 30s and 40s, I think.
I think it's 20s and 40s. I'll check. You keep going.
No, I'm thinking about time periods of actual cinema.
Okay, yeah. Maybe.
I want to say that when she probably is starting her movies, it's not that much time after sound has been presented in films on a regular basis.
Okay.
So if everyone's like, wait, what does that mean? Like, you have to understand that, like, and this is gonna sound really, really weird. If you ever want a really good explanation and, like, how sound works in the films of that time period, Singing in the Rain. Go watch it. Go watch that movie. That's actually what, when I was in college, when I started my intro to film studies, you did, like, different things that make up a movie before moving into different genres.
Yeah.
So I think it was, like, shots, editing, like, a bunch of stuff. And sound was, we did Singing in the Rain. Was the movie for sound. Because I know one of them was Citizen Kane. I know one of them was 8½, which is an Italian movie. A very long Italian movie.
Okay, so yeah, to be correct, Abby Trott is considered the teenage version of Chiyoko.
So her 10s and her 20s.
No, adult Chiyoko is the 20s to 40s age range.
Okay. So she's a teenager.
She's a teen.
She's the teenager one. She's in high school when they ask her to become an actress. And one of the other things is I really love how awkward she is with her mom and the guy who's trying to recruit her. She's like, Mom. And her mom's like, isn't the best way to serve Japan by having lots of babies? And that's what she just gets up and leaves.
Yep. It
and
happens very early on. It's kind of funny.
It's like one of the first, like, real moments with younger Chiyoko.
Yeah, it's great.
But Abby, the way that Abby acts when she's doing a lot of the movie scenes is that she's projecting her voice in a way that I feel like you would have to if you were a live action actor during that time period with the way the technology is done.
Yep.
It's not like today where like there's probably like little mics on you and boom mics and digital and 80 and they can go in and do it like, okay, they can technically, like they had a way to do ADR back then. Again, go watch Singin' in the Rain, you'll understand what I mean. Mm-hmm. But the way that she acts feels very much like it is from that time period. And to me, the standout scene for her is when she's in this very old Shogunate movie.
Yes.
It's a movie based off like the Shogunate. And she meets with this weird vision in the movie, this crazy old lady who I think is somebody, I don't know who plays her, we didn't ask, whoops. And that says, I have always loved you and I have always hate you. You've drank this, now you'll always be searching for 100 years.
I think, call me crazy, I think that might be the voice of that old vision, because that haunts her throughout the course of the film after we first
Do you think it's the voice actress for older Chiyoko?
No, I think it's the mom.
I
think it might be the mom. That's just my opinion, but I could be wrong.
Our opinion, we could totally be wrong. But I think that that's the scene that you really have to nail for younger Chiyoko, yes. Up with the prison scene, where she starts screaming, crying to go see the love of her life before it goes into the war, and she finds the drawing that he did of her, the painting he did of her as a young girl. Abby absolutely knocks it out of the park, and I am so happy that she did this because Abby Trott is not a voice actress that I get to talk a lot about. So.
No, I know. I'm glad too, because Abby is still relatively new. I think the first time, at least I know I ever talked to her, was in Mob Psycho. And it's been a couple of years and she's really established herself, and this is definitely, I think, a very big breakout role for her. Because Chiyoko, the character herself, is a very complex one with everything involved. Younger Chiyoko is both, she shows a curiosity and an innocence about her, as well as this determination, because again, the man with the key is a huge driving force and a huge motivation for her to get into the film industry in order to find him again. And you are absolutely correct in that Abby has to learn Abby as Chiyoko has to learn how to act, and starting as an amateur, like, no-name actress, and growing as she progresses with the films, which is I would say that's a bit of a challenge for Abby to overcome, considering that she is a very good voice actress. And at the same time, she also portrays Chiyoko's innocence and this childlike curiosity and wonder, because she has a huge curiosity about the man with the key. She could have just downright turned him over to the police when they first meet, but she has such a curiosity about him, and we don't exactly know what attracted her to him in the first place, and that makes it part of the mystery to us too over the course of the film. But for Abby to portray this younger version of Chiyoko, I think it's well done. This actually isn't my favorite version of Chiyoko, though. But she betrays that innocence, she portrays that determination, and she does very well done with the progression of acting experience that Chiyoko gains over the course of the teen years of her life. And I do love the Shogunate scene too, with this old biddy just cursing her all the damn day. It's a lot of fun. It's a fantastic performance for sure. All three of these Chiyoko iterations are all fantastic. And a note for all three in general is like they all blend together so seamlessly. You can tell it's the same character. If you didn't know that they were three different voices, I could almost say that they actually blend together so well as one voice. Mm-hmm. Like, if you weren't made aware of that fact, all three of the actresses who portray Chiyoko do extremely well in portraying a single character and making her have a single voice. and I think that's to Abby Trott and our other two Chiyoko's credits. I think that's very well done on their parts as well as the directing. But Abby Trott is an adorable, sweet little girl, and we just love her to pieces. We want to move on to adult Chiyoko?
Yes.
Adult Chiyoko covers the age range of 20s to 40s. In terms of the movie itself, it's about after the firebombing, and it at least kind of goes up.
It's post-war Japan.
Post-war Japan, and at least goes up to the adult Chiyoko goes up to the last film that she was involved with, which was like a space exploration kind
I
of
would
film.
say maybe. Oh god, it's after they start launching people into space, so it's at least the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, that's probably the time chronological range we're thinking of here. But that film, in terms of like space exploration and stuff like that, that's pretty much the last film that she was on, or she tried filming, because she did panic and up and disappear all of a sudden. As the voice of adult Chiyoko, we have Miss Erin Yvette. This is actually her first anime credit. However, she is more prominently known in video games, specifically more the Telltale games. So, she has voiced characters in video games such as Luminous Bassett in Smite. She is Sasha from Telltale's Tales of the Borderlands. And this is where I actually mostly know her for, because I'm currently playing this game. She's Snow White in Telltale's The Wolf Among Us.
Cool, I have no background on Erin Yvette as an actress.
Don't worry, Wolf Among Us is the only thing I know.
I have played none of those. I think that she does a lot. Even though I've noticed that kind of adult Chiyoko doesn't talk as much as the other two.
Adult Chiyoko doesn't have as much screen time
as
as
many
young or
lines.
elder. So there's a bit of a disadvantage.
But yeah, and a lot of it I think, because to me the biggest thing that adult Chiyoko does is she runs away to Hokkaido.
Yes.
To go find him.
That's the biggest thing for her.
After the man with the scar tells her. And that sequence is done almost exclusively through music and editing.
Yes,
and
a lot of panic.
It's phenomenal. And it's phenomenal. I really liked it. I thought she was super solid, especially for her first time in anime. She has this. She doesn't make her sound too young. She doesn't make her sound old lady. She makes her sound like somebody in their mostly their 30s and their 40s. She's not like slowing down to talk like this. She's very much like, hey, like, and she's not like, hey guys. It's more like, hey, how are you? And she goes through a lot of her. And to me, when she's got to find that key after seeing the vision of the old lady from the Shogunate film.
Yes.
In the thing after she's talking about having to get married, is just, and freaking out about the key, and she is fantastic. She's super, super solid. She makes her sound very pretty. She makes her sound unsure of herself, even though she's an adult. Yep. She has these moments of apprehension in her voice, especially when she confronts Otaki about stealing the key to steal her heart. Yep. Just standout job. I just wish that this character had more part of her life had more screen time so I could talk more.
Yeah, I know. That's the downside of this film, where adult Chiyoko we don't get to see a lot of adult Chiyoko. Because a lot of Chiyoko's career really just kicked in while she was a teenager. In all honesty, but adult Chiyoko does still have a lot to do. Like you were saying, there's the scene where she goes to Hokkaido to find the man with the key again.
And you will probably want to cry your eyes out.
Yeah.
That whole scene.
No, I actually wanted to cry my eyes out when she was in the rocket.
Oh yeah, okay, let's be real. Adult Chiyoko, she gets kind of one of this one line.
Adult Chiyoko,
and I want you to say
Adult Chiyoko is the Chiyoko we end the film on.
Yes, sure. And I guess you say the line.
I'm trying to remember. Crap, I can't remember it remember it verbatim. I don't know if you remember it verbatim.
It is when she's passed. The movie fades eventually into this rocket streaking across the stars, and I think it fades from older Chiyoko to her. It's like, but I think the thing I love the most was the pursuit.
Yes, the pursuit of him. And
yeah,
that's what kept her going for so long, is the actual pursuit of him.
It's less getting with him, it was the whole idea of finding him.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we'll talk about Elder Chiyoko in a minute afterwards, but we learn from Elder Chiyoko that she ran away and she stopped looking because she didn't want the man with the key to see her as she was then. Because he remembers her as the little girl. That's a very important bit of the film, too. But, Erin, for her first outing as adult Chiyoko, what a way to break out into the anime world, first of all. Mm-hmm. And, again, to the film's detriment, there's not a lot of adult Chiyoko, but she does play a huge integral part of the story because of this trip to Hokkaido. And I think Erin gives this version of Chiyoko, she gives adult Chiyoko such a beauty and a grace about her, which shows a level of maturity. But this version of Chiyoko also is still rather fragile and vulnerable, because remember, it's this Chiyoko who loses the key twice. This is the Chiyoko who is the only Chiyoko who actually lost the key twice. And both times, in its own way, she kind of regressed and blocked her memories of the man with the key, only to get those memories and those feelings back after getting that key back on both occasions. The second occasion being as Elder Chiyoko from Genya. But just the sheer panic of losing the key, just this fragile human being, this fragile woman who is mature, but yet you still feel and you still sense that she's still searching. She's still searching. She's still trying to find this person that she knew years ago. And this more pertains to Elder Chiyoko. By the end of it, she is aware by this point that the man with the key is dead. Whether or not it's through knowing about his fate with the man with the scar, or if by chance maybe he just died of old age. We don't know, and that's not made clear in terms of how Chiyoko knows or what she knows.
Yeah, she never finds out that he got killed.
No. As far as we know, if she never found out that he was murdered. For all she knows, he probably died an old man. That's probably all she knows. But Erin's portrayal of the adult version of Chiyoko, you can see the progression, and I'm gonna talk. And when we get to Elder Chiyoko in a second, you're gonna see the progression and my through line in terms of this growth of the character. She's a very graceful person, and she has that beauty and grace, and I think it's just portrayed rather well. Since Telltale unfortunately went under, I would love to see Erin Yvette in more anime. That'd be fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. But unfortunately, to the film's detriment, we don't have a lot of adult Chiyoko. But she did sell the last line of the film very well. She did close the film out beautifully, and I just absolutely loved it. All right. Elder Chiyoko?
Yeah, it's Elder Chiyoko time.
All right. So the elder version of Chiyoko, she is essentially, she's in her, probably, because if it's 40, she's in her 70s, because it's at least a 30-year time frame before Genya finds her and does the interview with her. And Elder Chiyoko, she's been more of a recluse. She lives away from the limelight and everything like that. But when she's given the key back by Genya, because the key part is the second time that adult Chiyoko loses the key, Genya's the one who finds it. And he's been trying to find her and give it back to her the entire time. See, there's a through line here. It's a circle. It's a circle of life. But Elder Chiyoko serves as the exposition dump in a way. because
she's basically the narrator.
She is the narrator of her life and is telling the story to Genya and Ida. The woman who voices Elder Chiyoko is one Miss Cindy Robinson. She has portrayed characters such as I'm not going to pronounce that correctly.
Kyoyo Ozaki,
thank you, in Bungo Stray Dogs. Cyrene in Devilman Crybaby. And this is probably what most people might know her for. She is Balsa in Moribito, Guardian of the Spirit.
Which is a movie that I need to watch.
It is not a movie, it's a TV show.
It's a TV show I need to watch.
Anyway.
I've been told very good things about Moribito.
Same. I need to watch it too. I haven't, but go ahead.
I will not lie that every time Kyoyo Ozaki shows up in Bungo, I get very happy because she's my favorite. She's my other favorite character.
She's fantastic.
she's my favorite. Okay, Kyoyo is my favorite female character in all of Bungo, which explains a lot. Cindy Robinson is great as Elder Chiyoko, who I love the fact that like there's this thing about being there for 1,000 years, and I think that her name means like 1,000 years.
I think it does actually. Keep talking. I'm gonna look this up.
I'm already doing it for you.
Oh. Fine. I see how it is.
Yeah, 1,000 child is what it means.
Sense.
Da-da-da-da-da. I love that she plays her as both this, like, longing person who, like, is very clearly still, like, deeply upset by the things that have happened in her life, and haunted by them, but also as this genuinely open and warm person who she has these moments where, like, she's just playing with Genya, getting to relive the happy moments of her life. Like when, I think it's when they're doing the Shogunate movie, and it cuts, and the other earthquake happens, and it cuts back, and you see her bouncing herself as if she's riding a horse.
It's so adorable.
It's really cute, and her voice is so so charming and so like your own grandma telling you stories. But it's also so sad at points, like when I think she coughs and she's feeling sick, and Genya says, "Do you want us to do it tomorrow?" She goes, and the delivery of the line, "Please let me keep going. I fear if we do this tomorrow, I won't remember."
Yep.
Mostly because she dies at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
She dies, guys. Sorry. She is absolutely wonderful in this, and it's just so heartwarming and warm and heartbreaking, and what really breaks your heart is when she's in the hospital bed and she hands Genya the key again and does her final goodbyes to him.
Oh, no. She never gives him the key. She holds...
Yes, she does. Oh, she holds it in her death.
She's like, I have this now. Now I can go back to searching for him.
Back for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it feels more like she... Sorry, my apologies, brain fried.
Okay.
It feels more like she didn't want to search for him, not because she had gotten old, but because she didn't have the key anymore.
Like, I completely see that, because the key... Remember when we said the key opens what is most important. For Chiyoko, the key is what's most important is
the pursuit
and the memories of him.
Yeah. And one of my other favorite things is it's a way that they shot does in the movie where she talks about how she doesn't want to see him, and you could tell that the way that Cindy plays her, she is on the verge of tears herself. Yep. Is that the earthquake comes and causes her to drop the picture of her younger self, which shatters. Yes. Therefore, her hope or his vision of her is no longer there. It's now broken and worn through the years. Because even then, remember, when they find it, it's like a miracle that they found this, because it was the one thing still standing in their shop from the firebombing.
And she kept
so
it
it's
the
like
whole time.
after all the things she's been through, it's her own death or her own fear and admission that breaks it for why she stopped.
Yep.
Cindy is she is my second favorite part of the Chiyokos, and she is so strong as this narrator and this person who is just weaving this story through, and she never makes her sound like the super old granny that I think a lot of anime still does do. It's so beautiful and so moving, and just chef's kiss. Chef Kiss. Chef Kiss.
I'm gonna say this right off the bat. The instant I saw and heard Cindy Robinson as Elder Chiyoko, I fell in love with it instantly. The Elder Chiyoko, again, this through line that I've been describing with the three Chiyokos. Elder Chiyoko is a very refined and regal voice to her. Like, she's very mature, she is grown, while the adult Chiyoko has that beauty and grace that Erin Yvette gives. Cindy Robinson gives Elder Chiyoko a much more refined tone to her, which, with everything going on through the years, I think it makes Chiyoko that much more captivating as a character. Cindy, what else? I don't have a ton of notes for Cindy. Oopsie daisy. But one of the things I really enjoy about Cindy's portrayal is, like you said, she does have those fun moments. She's not afraid to regress back to her younger self, and just have fun in those moments of telling the story. The central importance of Elder Chiyoko is that narration, though, and that storytelling. And with the tone of voice that Cindy Robinson gives, this regal and refined tone, it makes for a fantastic narration and a storyteller voice, which is the main purpose that Elder Chiyoko serves in the film. And I could just listen to it all day. I'm not gonna lie. I could listen to it all day long and just hear her tell these stories and just be captivated and fascinated, because of the tone of voice and how she uses it in this story. And the ending bit for Elder Chiyoko in the hospital, I just started tearing up again at that point, because she knows that she's not going to make it.
It's time.
She knows it's time to let go. Now that she has the last piece that she's been missing for 30 years, it's time for her to go, and it's time for her to go back on this pursuit. Which Erin as adult Chiyoko says that's what she finds the most exciting thing, is this pursuit. And Elder Chiyoko and Cindy Robinson, again, she mentions that she has the key again. She thanks Genya for bringing her back the key because it reminded her of what she lost. So, and reliving those memories and reliving this story and retelling it, that's probably the last thing that she ever wanted to do, honestly. And she was happy to do it. And now that she got to tell her story, she can just move on peacefully and go back on her pursuit on the other side, that is such a really poignant and strong moment for the character. And Cindy Robinson is just phenomenal as the Elder Chiyoko. Cindy Robinson is my favorite iteration of the Chiyokos, in all honesty. Like, from the instant I heard and saw her up and through till the end, it's a fantastic portrayal. And again, like, this is a credit to all three versions of Chiyoko. So for Abby Trott, Erin Yvette, and Cindy Robinson, it's a very clear through line, and all three actresses make it into one voice for this one character. So if you don't know that there are three different voices for this character, you could be convinced that it's just one actress. If you had no knowledge of it being three, you can probably assume and guess it might be one when it's not. And that's, again, a credit to all three voice actresses and the director on how this character is portrayed and how this through line and the story is told. And I think it's just a fantastic job all around, for all three of them. And I think especially Cindy Robinson just brings it home as this storyteller. And I love it. I love this film so much. I love it so much.
Honestly, yeah.
But with that being said, I think we need to go into our final thoughts on the dub of this film. So a lot of it's probably going to be reiterating what we said in the beginning, but hey, you made it this far. Let's remind you.
Yeah, let's remind you of why the fuck you need to love this movie. This movie is an absolute powerhouse to anybody who loves animation, loves movies, loves good storytelling. The dub is phenomenal. This is one of the best dubs of the year. VSI and 11 Arts have come together to make such a fantastic dub for a movie that is gladly being released in a limited run in theaters and eventually, hopefully, on home video for a more widespread thing. Hopefully this will go to Netflix or something to stream, because holy shit, everybody should see this movie at least once in their life. Everybody did such a fantastic job. I don't think I had any problems with any aspect of the dub of this movie. Not off the top of my head. Obviously, as I watch it more times, I might find more things I might dislike, but as a general thing, yeah, this is some good shit, guys. Like, please go fucking see this movie.
Yeah, we live in a very strange time right now, because it's been
1 week since you looked
Stop
at me.
There goes the serious tone. God.
I couldn't help it. It was right there.
I walked into it. God.
I took my shot.
You took the shot. You took the shot. Man down. Anyway. We live in a really weird time because it's been a long time since we've seen Satoshi Kon become prominent in both Japanese culture as well as Western anime, the Western anime community. And I briefly looked it up. I just happened upon it. So August 24th will be the 9-year anniversary of his passing. He passed away August 24th of 2010.
Please rest in peace, dude. I hope you're up there having a good time.
I hope so too. He is a fantastic director, and it's, again, like you said in the beginning, Megan, he was taken to us very soon. Especially because he was at the time in the middle of production of The Dreaming Machine, which was another film he was working on, and I hope it eventually does see the light of day. But this film in particular, this has always been my favorite Satoshi Kon film. It's a very tried and true powerhouse. It's very true to Kon's directing style, and what he usually uses for themes and context. He also wrote the film, if I remember correctly. This is an original that he did.
Yes, it's still really good.
It is so good. While adaptations that he did, like Perfect Blue and Paprika, are pretty good, it's his original stories that I think are downright fantastic. And Millennium Actress is definitely the height of that and the epitome of his work, in all honesty. And the dub of the film itself, I am so happy that it's coming out now at this time in this place. Present day, present time. Sorry, the joke was there. And it's very appropriate that it's coming out now in a time where a lot more newer anime fans, and definitely some of the older ones like us, can really appreciate it again. And just seeing this film again it's a surreal experience. And the English dub is just fantastic to me. It's dub of the year material for sure. And I am also half tempted to be cheatsy and give all 3 actresses who played Chiyoko Fujiwara a dubby for the one performance, because again, they all blend together so well that I can't distinguish one or the other as a favorite. Well, I kind of can, but it's very well done. It's very well produced and written and acted and directed. There's a lot about this film and its dub that is just absolutely amazing. And like Megan said, you are doing a disservice to yourself by not watching this film. If you already saw the Japanese, whether prior to the rescue, or if you saw it, again, at the time of this episode's release, if you saw it the night before in Japanese, good on you.
Go watch it
Go
again!
Watch it again in the dub, though.
Go watch it again in English!
But yeah, if you watched it the night before in the Japanese, I thank you, because this film deserves so much more attention than it ever got. And, I mean, I probably speak for at least Megan and I, and probably for everybody else when I say thank you, 11 Arts, for rescuing this film.
Seriously, thank you, 11 Arts, you godsends.
You are amazing for rescuing this film. And
we love
and
you.
Giving it the star treatment that it honestly really deserves. Because this is a film that really flew under the radar for a lot of fans in the anime community, and there's very few people who got the chance to see and appreciate it like Megan and I do. So the fact that it's coming back now at a fantastic time where all of a sudden we're slowly getting these Cone films back in action here, like Perfect Blue was re-released by G-Kids last year. It's a very surreal time to see these films again. And I really hope that Tokyo Godfathers is rescued and Paprika is rescued again, and Paranoia Agent, and all of my deepest wish is for the work of Satoshi Kon to really make a comeback and get the treatment that it honestly really deserves, because he's a fantastic director. I mean, I have a great love and appreciation for him. He's my favorite director of all time, honestly. But yeah, you are doing yourself a disservice if you have not seen this film. Absolutely disservice. So if you watched it last night at the time this episode was released, good on you. But you really need to see the dub too. The dub is spectacular. Definitely. So if you already watched it, good on you, but go see it again. Give this film so much love and support, because doing so will it's one of those things, unfortunately, in the corporate world where it's like you gotta give it the attention in order for studios like 11 Arts to, or licensing companies, like 11 Arts, to continue on. And
please go see this movie illegally. Please watch this movie.
Please. So on that note, if you are interested in seeing the film Millennium Actress, there's really only two ways you could probably see it. Again, we mentioned the current theatrical run. At the time of this episode's release, the Japanese version was in theaters yet last night. The dub is...
You got one night, y'all!
One night to do it now. The English dub is going to be in theaters on Monday, August 19th, and I'm so excited to see it with all of us. I'm so excited to see Conan on the big screen, because I've never had that opportunity. It's fantastic. Thank you, 11 Arts. I appreciate you. But the other way, currently, I would say you'd be able to watch the film is...
track it down on DVD, the old DVD.
DreamWorks Entertainment DVDs, if you happen to find and snag a copy. Though I imagine, since they did rescue it, 11 Arts will plan to have a home video release in the future. Please give it a premium limited edition box set. Please. I will pre-order it and day one buy it, please. I would love you to death.
Please.
And again, a very special thank you to 11 Arts for this fantastic opportunity for us to discuss the dub of this film before anyone else really gets to. This is something that I'm sure Megan will agree, this is something that I never thought could happen.
Nope.
Like, we were so excited, and as fans of...
You can't tell I'm excited because I need a nap, because I'm not feeling good, but...
As you can probably tell, we're such huge fans of the film. We're probably one of the only people among the Dub Talk crew has actually seen the film. So we are so passionate about it, and having this opportunity and this chance to work with 11 Arts on making this episode in time for the theatrical run is just a fantastic and a dream come true. So really, on all honesty, thank you so much, 11 Arts, for this opportunity. We really do appreciate it. And hopefully we can work together again in the future on some of your other films. But yeah, this has been fantastic, and I loved every second of it. If you are interested in anything that Megan and I do, you can follow Megan on Twitter at QueenEra2, where she shitposts all the time. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Lilac Anime Review, with review being spelled REVUE, as well as I do have a blog that I update rather infrequently, lifeandtimesotaku.wordpress.com. if you're interested in anything that us here at the Dub Talk Podcast do, the best way to do so is you're already here on YouTube. You can follow us on YouTube, subscribe to us here. I think at the time of recording this, we are slowly closing in on 3,000 subscribers, so thank you so much.
We're slowly closing in on 200 episodes.
We're also slowly closing in on 200 episodes. I think this one would be 174, 75 maybe? That's what this one's gonna be.
We're getting... It's time code time, boys!
Time code time, let's go! We gotta do more fun highlights and moments, let's go! But you can also follow us on various social media, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr is dead, Twitch, all of them at Dub Talk Podcast. And hey, if you really, really love what we do here and you want to support us in a completely different way, again, like we did mention in the beginning, we do have a Patreon. The link for it will be in the YouTube description below, where you can be part of this crazy journey of ours, like several of our patrons are currently, and help us grow the channel and the podcast to new heights. And if you don't feel like you are financially stable to commit to something monthly, that is a-okay. We do have a coffee as well for any like one-time donations as well, because trust us, we're also adults and we have financial struggles like everybody else, so we completely understand if you can't do a monthly Patreon subscription, essentially. I believe that is it for us today. Holy crap, this has been an experience.
Yes, we did it. I can't believe we actually got to talk about this. I was like, man, we're gonna have to wait till next summer at the movies to talk about this.
Nope. Thank you, 11 Arts. You're awesome.
Thank you, 11 Arts. We love you. Good night, everybody. Otaku War.
Yeah, and I'm so excited to see it again next Monday with everybody. Yes.
See you in Tejas.
See you in Dallas, boys and girls.
Girls, good night.
Have a good night. Thank you so much again, and Otaku on, my friends.